Good morning, everyone. Let's make a start. So, for those of you who weren't here yesterday, we started with functions and we looked at what a function is. So, a function is similar to a formula. A formula, you would start with an equal sign and then you would put either a value or a cell and you put your operators. So, 2 plus 2 or a1 plus a1 or even a1 plus 2, whatever the case may be. You can use numbers or you can use cells. The function now is that operation built into the function. So you don't have to use the operator anymore. You don't have to use plus, you don't have to use minus. All of that operation is built into the function itself. So to use a function, you would type the same equal sign like you start in a formula, and you put the name of the function's name. You open a bracket. You always have to put brackets, and inside of those brackets you will put arguments. Arguments refer to cell reference or the name of a cell that you would make that you want it to be calculated. It could be just one cell, a range of cell, or a constant number like 1, 2, 3, whatever the case may be. We looked at average. So for these functions, you need to remember the syntax. The syntax is how the formula or how the function is built. So you start with equal, average, and in bracket, you put the range of cells, the cells that you want to be averaged. For count, for both count A and count is the same. You put the name of the function, you put the range of cells inside. Some functions are a little different. They have more arguments, they have more requirements. So we have the function name here again. But for the arguments now, the first argument is a range of cells. Okay? Good. So for count if, there is two arguments that you need to put in, a range of cells, and notice there's a comma. The comma is there to separate the arguments, to tell the difference between the two. So after you would have put in your range of cells, then you would put in your criteria afterward. Same for date, max, if. We can see how lengthy if can be. The first part is to put in your tests, basically asking a question. For example, in the image here we have the question, if B8 is greater than 10, if it is true, is the next argument, then the answer should be yes. And if it is false, B8 is not greater than 10, then no would show up. So these true and false values is what will appear if the test is true or if the test is false. And then we finished off with PMT, how to calculate loans. So you put your interest rate, you put the number of payments and the loan amount, and you get that calculation. So notice, in these functions, you don't even need to put any operators. You don't need to put plus, minus, multiply, anything or so on. You just put in values, and the function itself knows how to calculate that. So remember, if you don't understand a function, how it works, look at the images. So it is made up, the PMT is made up of loan, the loan amount, interest rate, years to repay, which is going to be in years. So the reason why they are dividing by 12 and then multiplying by 12 is because they want it in the months. So B2, which is the interest, 7.65 per year. If you divide it by 12, you'll get how much interest per month. And then B3, which is the 2, multiplied by 12. It's multiplied by 12 because when you do that, you'll get how much months that person has to pay that loan for. And then the last part is if you look back at the syntax, the loan amount, which is B1, which is $5,000. So it's pretty simple. You just have to remember the syntax, remember what goes where, and in the spreadsheet, you neatly lay out your values. You can label them if you want, so that you can know what each value is, so that you can do your calculations easier. So today we're going to move on to rank. We're going to see how we can make use of rank. Um, Malik, can you read for us rank?
Wait a second, switching device. What is it?
Can you read rank?
The syntax is rank. Number whose rank you want to find, range of numbers, order of rank. In later versions of Excel, this function has been renamed to rank
So let's
EQ.
start over. You missed a very important part of the syntax. So let me see if you can figure it out.
Pardon me, sir?
You're going to start reading the paragraph. While reading it, you missed a very important part of the syntax.
I see the part that I missed. Let me start over. The syntax is equal rank. Number whose rank you want to find, range of numbers, order of rank. In later versions of Excel, this function has been renamed to rank EQ. The syntax is equal rank EQ, number whose rank you want to find, range of numbers, or order of rank. This function produces the position of a number or item. What? Wait. This function produces the position of a number or item in a sorted list, so that the first item would have a rank of 1. See section 7.5 for blah blah blah. Note that duplicate numbers are given the same rank.
Continue it up.
Listen, let me switch my phone low. Yes, sir. From how far?
Top right.
Sorry, is that?
The paragraph that starts with figure.
Oh, figure figure 7.26 illustrates how the final positions are determined in a closely contested sports race. 6 athletes. The range of data from A2 to A7 and B2 to B7 are first sport are, are first sorted as a group by the finish times in ascending order, so that the person with the fastest time is at the top of the list. The cell range B2 to B7 is named race times. In cell C2, type rank B2 race times 1 and press enter. The number 1 in the function indicates that the list is in ascending order, while 0 or omitting a number wait, how far gone? Indicates that it is descending. The rank the rank of the first athlete, Matt, is rank B2 race times 1 and shows the value 1, which is first or rank 1. Copy the function of to the remain wait, oh shucks. Sorry, you're scrolling too fast.
I didn't even scroll.
Well, I seen things. Anyways, and shows the value 1, which is first of rank 1. Copy the function of the remainder of cell C3 to C7. Excel adjusts the cell references appropriately. The next rank, rank B3 raised times 1, equal 2 for Eli. However, note that Rich, rank B4 raised times 1, equal 2, since he has the same finish time as Eli, and is therefore also ranked as position 2. Position 3 is skipped because of the tied rank, and so Ole would be fourth position.
Good. So that sounds like a lot of confusion, but let's see if we can sort it out. So the syntax once again is equal rank, number whose rank you want to find. So in this case here, over here, they're looking at equal rank B2 with this time here, and they put a range, so the range is race time. What did they name as race time? B2 to B7 they named as range time. Yes, so B2 to B7 they named as race time. So that'll be here to here, so that's that range here. And then they name it as 1. Okay, so let's see if we can build that. So name, time, and rank. Now we have Malik, Latrell, Deja, Michaela. So Malik has a time of, so let me set the format. So I hope you guys take a note of what I'm doing. I'm setting the format to time. So I want 3 minutes. Why did Okay, let's not use time because that needs a lot more formatting. Let me just use currencies for now, make things simple. So Malik has $1,000, the trail has 500. Khadijah has 3,000 and Kayla has 10,000. Now we created a rank to see who has the most money. Now in their case there's 2 options, so we're gonna start with equal rank. So notice this function is available for compatible Excel. So you notice it has a little yellow exclamation mark there. Next to the name. And if you hover over it, it says it's compatible with 2007 and earlier. Because now we're using rank EQ. So rank EQ, the first syntax is number whose rank you want to find. So I want to find the rank of this $1,000 here. So I put that as the number. So remember I said at the bottom here you can see basically how the function is built. So the first one is the number. Then the next part of that formula is the range of numbers. So that's going to be this range here. So you can either make it a range like this here, D3 to D6, or in their case, they name the range. So if you remember how to name a range, you highlight all of the cells and you give it a name. So I'm going to give it the name of time in the name box. So when I go to my formula here, the first part is the number that I want to rank, so that's going to be my 1000. And the name of the range, comma, the name of the range was time. So notice I put time and that range was highlighted, comma. And notice it gives you the option at the end here. You either put a 0 if the information is in descending order or if it is in ascending order. So it's neither, so I have to fix that. A simple thing you can do, but it didn't give you the right value, the third rank. So how you can sort your information instead of manually moving, so instead of going here and deleting this here and moving it so that you can rearrange the order, how you can sort is by highlighting the information, right clicking on it, and you'll see this sort option here. So click on A to Z, it's going to sort the first column, but just do it once again. And it doesn't sort the second one, so I guess I'll have to do it manually. So sort, custom sort. Later on we're going to look at more sorts. So we want to sort by time, and we're going to sort the values smallest to largest. Okay, so it was sorted by smallest to largest, so that would be ascending. So at the end here now, we put 1 for ascending, and we autofill our formula. We bring it down to copy it, and we have our rank there. So if I sort this again, notice the rank also changed. So you need to sort it in ascending order. So even though without the 1 it had given me the right value, if you don't sort it in ascending or descending, then the rank won't be in that ascending and descending order. So then you have to go and look and see that which one is 1, which one is 2, which one is 3. So that's why you need to sort it in a descending or ascending order. So you guys understand that? Was I too complicated with that?
No, sir.
Oh, sir.
Okay. So once again, take your time, look at the syntax, and you should be able to figure out how to create your formula, your functions. Now let's move on to sum. So let's have Hitish. Can you read for us?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sum syntax is equal sum a range of cells. If you wanted to add together the numbers in cell B1 to B175, you could use plus operator to add the cells, brackets B1 plus B2 plus B3, etc. This would take you a long time.
Continue.
Read from Spreadsheet. It is much quicker and easier to use the sum function. The sum function can be used in 4 ways. 1. Adding values, for example, equal sum 114 in brackets. 2. Adding cell ranges, for example, equal sum brackets B3, C3, F4. 3. Adding ranges of values, for example, equal sum C3 colon C10. Number 4. Adding a combination of the above options. For example, equal sum B3, C4, so C10, 12.
Very good. So whenever you see the code, The colon indicates a
Yeah,
range, and you would say C2 to C4 to C10.
just remember.
Right. So the paragraph gave an example that if you want to add B1 to B175, so those are the cells. B1, this is B1 here, all the way to B175, all the way here. Say a formula, you would type equal B1 plus B2 plus B3, and that would take you a very long time. But what you can do is use the sum function. So equal sum, we have our instructions here once again. So we can either put the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember the comma is used to separate the values or the arguments inside of that function. When you press enter, we get our value here, 10. Or we could have done some cells. So say if I wanted to add up all this money here, I could have highlighted all of it, but remember I named it so that by time appeared, enter, and the total is 14,500. So in the case of the example there with equal sum B, you could simply, alright, let me show you what's happened here. So sometimes what may happen is that when you're creating a formula, because the cell is so close to each other, sometimes the formula might extend over to a cell. So I want to click on this B2, but I can't click on it. That is because the formula here, this function, the space that is supposed to use to enter the function, the arguments, is now covering this B2. So say I can click anywhere except B1. I wanted to click B1. I can't click on it because the formula was covering it. So sometimes that may happen to you. So just remember what you would have to do if you want to select is basically extend it so that you get that. So when you type equal sum now, you get that space to select your B1. So if I wanted B1 to B175, I would simply hold and drag until I reach B175. Notice at the top here in the formula bar, you can see what you have for that function, for that formula. And you close your bracket, or you could have just pressed enter and where's my formula? Oh, oh. Yes, B1 to B175. We have our formula here. And this is much faster to calculate than type in all of those values 1 to 10. Now this one here, Vlookup, this is a very important and powerful function. It's a little tricky, so you need to pay attention as to how it is built. It's kind of tricky, just like a function. So let's have a look at it. Sian, can you read for us?
The syntax is equal sign VLOOKUP. Value you want to look up. The range of data where the value is located in the first column. The column number related to the first column containing the additional information you need. Whether the list in the first column of the range is sorted or not sorted. VLOOKUP searches the first column in a table of data for a value. If the value is found, any other value in that row can be selected. The V in VLOOKUP represents vertically down the first column. An example of performing a lookup could be searching for grades on a list pinned on a notice board. The list is searched vertically until until the correct ID number or name is located. Then the associated row is searched until the grade is found. The function in figure 7.28 is similar to those steps. The function vlookup, open bracket v8, comma class, comma 2, comma false, searches the first column in a range named class, open bracket for the jazz class, close bracket, and then searches across the row to column 2 for the day of the class. The list of classes is not sorted, so false is entered at the end of the function. The day returned is Saturday. The function equal sign vlookup, open bracket v8, comma class, comma 3, comma false, close bracket, would return 10 a.m. as the time of the class. The column number is changed to return another set of data based on the class.
Good. Now that was a lot of information. I know some of you might be left confused. So, if you look at the syntax, look how long is the syntax here. The syntax starts off with the first argument. So before we get to that, what you need to remember is that VLOOKUP, the V stands for vertical. So basically, it is vertical lookup. What is the direction of vertical? Anyone? What's the direction of vertical? For those of you who may not know.
Upward.
Up and down.
Up and down. So for those who may not know, vertical is up and down. So in a cell, when they say vertical lookup, they mean this direction, up and down. It means a column, basically a column. So it going up and down. So it looks in that column. So you can say instead that it looks at a column. It looks at information in a column because a column is vertical. So that is the V in VLOOKUP. Now the syntax. The first part of the syntax is the value you want to look up. So basically, what value in this column here do you want to look up? Or what do you want to look for? So in this column here, do I want to look for time? So time is a value here. Do I want to look for 500? Do I want to look for 1,000? Do I want to look for 3,000? Do I want to look for 10,000? What value in that column, in that vertical lookup there, do I want to look for? So it's only one value you're picking there. The next part of the syntax is the range of data where the value is located in the first column. So you need to make a range and tell the function where that value is basically located so that it can look up that value. So you tell it what value to look for. Now you need to tell it where is it looking for that value. So you tell it a range. What would the range be? Just be general. What do you think the range would be?
Sir, like D1 to D7.
Good. So like a range of cells, some A1 to D1, whatever the case may be. A range of cells, that is the range of data that you are looking at. The next part of the syntax is the column number relative to the first column containing the additional information you need. Let me just look at this image here. So in there, they use class and they're looking up B8. So it's the second column. Good. So this part here can be a little tricky. The third syntax, the column number. You need to put a number for the column relative to the first column containing the additional information you need. What it basically means is that if you look at this image here, we have two tables here. And the one on the left here has the, which one is it looking at? Okay, it's one table. It's one table. Just two different images of it, two variations of it. But it's one table. So they have the VLOOKUP function and the value that they're looking for. That is the first syntax, the value that you want to look up. So they have B8. So B8 is jazz. So C is highlighted here at the bottom. B8 is highlighted as jazz. That is what they're looking for. So where are they looking for? Where are they looking for jazz? Inside of the class name range. And the class name range is what is highlighted in pink. So notice the word jazz is here in A5. So they're looking for jazz inside of this name range here. Now, the column number now, which is the third syntax, is which column, basically, what data in which column do you want to um, collect or basically take or look up, because basically what the function is doing, it is looking for a specific value, and anything in that row you can pull over to somewhere else. So in this case here, they're looking for jazz, and they could have either taken the Saturday, the day, or the 10 a.m. But they want the day. So they put the second column. So in this case, the second column would be day, and they want what day is jazz being done on, or what day are they studying jazz. And false now, which is the last syntax, is whether the list in that column is sorted or not. So let me show you an example of how you make use of VLOOKUP. You guys follow that so far? What it does explain?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me show you an example. So we have this table here. We use the same table, and let me not do it on another sheet. Let me do it right in the same sheet. But most of the time, you just normally do it on another sheet. So we have this table here, and what I want now is, what do I want? I want to create a list of information. I want to create another table. And in this next table now, what I want is to just have the name and the rank. I just want those two information in the table. I don't want the time. So yes, I can copy and paste it, but I want to just imagine if it was a lot of data. Copy and pasting wouldn't work out. So, and then if the data change, copy and paste won't work. So you can see how that does now. So now I put let me just copy these names over here. Good. So I want the rank to come over. So the function now, the formula is going to be equal VLOOKUP. And notice at the bottom here again, you have your instructions. So the lookup value, what value am I looking for? That value is basically the first value in that row that you try to look for, the first column. So that way now, because how VLOOKUP works is that it looks at a column. You guys understand that, right? Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It looks
Yes,
vertically.
sir.
It looks vertically. So basically it's looking at a column. But the thing that you need to remember is that VLOOKUP only looks to the right. It does not look to the left. So that is why you have to use basically the first column. You try your best to use the first column because it doesn't look back this way. So if I use time as the lookup value, I won't be able to, if I want to pull over Latrell, the name Latrell, I wouldn't be able to, because VLOOKUP doesn't look to the left. It only looks one side. It's only looking to the right. So the lookup value, you always try to make it the first column, the first vertical column. So I'm going to start with equal VLOOKUP and lookup value. So the lookup value now, I'm going to put as Latrell. So that's going to be G3. So this is the value that I'm looking for inside of this table over here. So basically, you have to have that value repeated somewhere so that you can reference it. Like how I'm referencing it here as G3. Next, put my comma, and the next is a table array. The table array is the range of data or the cell range that contains that data. So I could highlight it and give it a range, but for your practice, you would name that range. So when you're doing exercises, assignments, and so on, you name your range anytime that you're using a range. Put a simple name. But in our case, we can just do this quickly. So this is the range of the data the data is now comma column index number. Basically, which column do I want? So basically, I want a value from this row. So which column is that value in? That's the question here. So do I want the second column, which is about time, or do I want the third column, which is about rank? Which column do I want? The second or the third? Look at my table here. I'm making this table here on the right hand here, name and rank. So which column do I want from this main table over here?
Rank, sir.
What number would it be? Remember, we're looking for a number. Which column number?
Three.
Start from E3.
It's gonna be 3. It's just looking for a number. So C is the first column, D is the second column, and E is the third column in that range. So I put 3 because rank is in the third column. Now, comma there. Now I need to put true or false. Is the exact value or the exact match? Approximate match. What does the PDF have? Whether the list in the first column or the range is sorted or not. So which is which? I think true is if it's sorted. Yeah, true is if it's sorted, and false if it's not sorted, so that it gives you back the exact value. So in our case, it is sorted. True. Or I think we have to put false. Yes. So something is not sorted, I think. I think it's because of the first name. That's why. So the first name, right. The first name isn't sorted because that's the lookup value. So that isn't sorted, that's why we have to put false. So see here, it pulled over the 1. So if I bring this down now, it's gonna pull over all of the values here over here. So the reason why this VLOOKUP is so beneficial is that if this value here changes, if this 12 change now, it will automatically change over here. If this 3 change, so I didn't need to change that. If I change this 500 to maybe 12,000, 110, whatever, the rank will change and the value will change over there. So this is why there's one way you can make use of VLOOKUP, so that you try not to use copy and paste. Yes, you can copy and paste to get back the same data, but you try to use functions that if the information changes in one place, then anywhere else that has that same information, it will change also. So, like how I have these two tables with name and rank, if it changes in this first table, then because of VLOOKUP, it will change in this other table. So, that was a lot of information. You guys understood that? Anyone that didn't understand that? Giselle?
Sir, I still understand, but you could go on.
What about did you don't understand? Because you need to understand it because it will come in SBE.
Um, sir, please go back to the formula thing. The third part. Yes, please.
The tree,
Not a part. The last part, me not understand it.
this one here,
Yes.
false.
Mm-hmm.
So remember we are using a lookup value. This G3. That's a lookup value. So G3 is inside of this column here, but remember we are looking for it inside of this table over here. So that false now is asking if that value there, which is Latrell, if it is sorted inside of this column here, if the information is sorted. If you look at it, it is not sorted alphabetically because M would be after K and K would be before L, I think. Yeah, K before L. So you understand that? So because this name column isn't sorted, we have to put false. It isn't
Sir, so if it was sorted alphabetically, then you would put true.
right. So if I sort it alphabetically, so let me do that. If I sort this, sort, let me just do this. So highlight, sort A to Z. So it's sorted alphabetically now. So now if I go over here, so false will still work, but true because it's now sorted. But remember just now it didn't work, true didn't work because the information wasn't sorted. So if I unsort it now, so you see all of it has true. All of it has true. So if I unsort it, um, to do that, I would have to go here, small, good. See, it came up with this value, this basically this error because this column here is no longer sorted. So basically, the lookup value wherever it is located in that column, if it isn't sorted in some kind of order, alphabetically or smallest to largest, you just use false. If it is sorted, then you would use true. But false would always give you the value because if you notice, when I change it to true, when I started it just now, I have it as false now. All of it is as false. But when I start it back to alphabetical order, why is this giving me right now? Oh, the range changed. Right. Good. You can see even though I sorted it back to alphabetical order, the false still works. So basically false will work all the time, whether it is sorted or not. But if you know to yourself that you have sorted that information alphabetically, you would use true. Any other questions, Giselle?
No, sir.
You understand the whole, all the arguments?
Yes, sir.
Anybody else confused?
I got this question for Alex, right, sir? So if you didn't want to start from Latrell, right, and say you start from Kadisha, you gotta put it as G5, right?
What do you mean you didn't want to start?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean you didn't want to start? Like if you want to put Khadijah at the top here?
No, right? No. So like if you didn't want Latrell on my rank, right? But you decide to start from Kadisha. So
Oh,
when you put VLOOKUP, you could start with V5, right? G5, I mean.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, all you have to do is just delete the information here. delete the formula there, and that's run the formula anywhere you want. So if you didn't want the information here, you could have just started the formula right at the bottom. So just as you said, you start with G5 and you get the information here.
Oh, all right, sir. That's fine.
So the VLOOKUP is only looking for this cell here. It's only looking for this one row. So the reason why we saw all the information is because I copied it to the the rest of the rows so that we get the information. Alright, so let me briefly go it over again. VLOOKUP means vertical lookup. It is looking vertically. It is looking inside of a column, any column, once you put that column. So the first argument is the lookup value. What are you looking for? So I'm looking for Latrell, and Latrell is in G3. So that's my lookup value, that cell there. Where am I looking for this value? So that's going to be my table array. Where is that range? Cell C2 to E6. What column do I want to bring back? Which information in that row of Latrell do I want to bring back? Do I want to bring back this 120,000? Do I want to bring back this 4? I have to know what number is that column. Is that column 2? Is that column 3? Column 4? That's this number here. And if the lookup value, which is column C, if it is sorted or not, you put false or true. And now remember something else I wanted to mention, and that is this part here. The third part of the syntax. It says that the column number is relative to the first column containing the additional information. So this column number here is only relative to basically the lookup value. So the lookup value G3, which is the trail, is inside of the first column in that table. But what if I had made time the lookup value? What would have happened there, G4, is that G4 now, which is time, D is going to be G4, no, I'm looking for this one. Down, that, second column, cross. Why did it give me a G3, D2 to E6, 2. Why did it give me a Oh, because the trail is not here. My lookup value should be. Oh, I created a lookup value. Anyway, let me not confuse you with that. Just remember the basic part of the when that time comes for you to understand that part of VLOOKUP, we'll get to that part. Alright, let's move on to relative and absolute addressing. Jamal, can you read for us?
Teacher.
You see now?
Well, all right, teacher.
Relative and absolute addressing.
Copying formulae can be extremely useful. Consider the spreadsheet shown in figure 7 point. We are 5%. Sir, penalty properly, sir.
What about now?
That's better. Copying a formula can be extremely useful. Consider the spreadsheet shown in figure 7.29a, where a 5% discount is calculated on three data plans. As you create a spreadsheet to automatically work out the discount in each plan, you can copy the formula to other cells and keep the discount as it is. The formula in cell C3 is B3, B1. If cell C3 containing the formula is copied to cell C4 and C5, figure 7.29b shows the resulting formula. This adjustment of a formula when copied to the other cells is an example of Excel using relative addressing. This assumption by Excel, in this case, using the cell to the left and on the one to above it each time, is useful sometimes, but does not help if you need to refer to an exact location on the sheet each time, such as your discount value in cell. I gotta read more, sir.
Alright. Um, basically, let me just explain because I think if I explain, you guys might understand it better. Um, there's two kinds of addressing. So, anybody understand what they mean by addressing? Does that term here? Does this term addressing? Anyone understand what they mean by that?
It's like put to something where it belongs.
Put in,
Something where it belongs.
not exactly.
All
You're
right.
talking about it, bring it to the topic.
No, in terms of spreadsheet, not the actual definition. In terms of spreadsheets.
Sir, finding the cell or something like that.
Yeah, that's close enough. Give it a second.
There's like basic. But yeah,
Don't let it so.
only because and because. Hey Daniel,
Mom, mom.
Barry must pass you tomorrow.
What's up?
Must pass you tomorrow.
What time?
Text me, text me. Sir, we could leave.
Right, I'm back. Um, yes, Jonathan, we said about addressing.
Or locating or finding a cell.
Good. Locating or finding a cell. Or basically, it's almost like cell reference. How do you reference that cell? So there's two ways that you can basically reference a cell, or let me say copy a cell. So um, let me clear all this information here. So say at the top here we have 12, and at the bottom here we have 1, and so on. Now I would have shown you autofill before. When you drag it down and it increments, that is autofill. But you can also do it with a cell. So if I put equal, alright, let me put 1 here and 2 over here. If I put equal um, B3 plus C3 and I press enter, notice I have B3 and C3. Remember those cells. When I autofill now and I drag it down, notice the cells change. It changed to B4 to C4, B5, C5, B6, C6, and so on, all the way to B9, C9. Why? That is relative addressing. What happened there is that as it is copied relative to the cell that this formula here is built on. So this formula here is built with the cells to the left, with cells B3 and B and C3. So as you copy it now down and you autofill, it will basically increment with those same columns in the same direction, downward. So even if I created my formula here, H2 plus I2. So notice my cells are still at the top here. And I press enter. If I copy it again, remember the top here is H2 and I2. The bottom here is going to be H3 and I3, H4 and I4. So that is relative addressing. It is copying it relative to the first formula here. So you use it like in my case here, like if you want to copy all of this, create a formula for all of this here to calculate, you would use relative addressing. Now you you have a value that you don't want to change? So say for instance now, we have these numbers here and we want to multiply it by 12. So we put equal B3 times 12. That will be D1. So I want to calculate for all of these numbers here. But when I drag it down, what's going to happen to D1 in the cell? Anyone, what's going to happen? What's going to happen when I copy it down?
Sorry.
No one knows? Alright, then apparently everyone is hungry. So we can stop here for today. I mean, your homework without me going through this part here. So work your questions as your homework. Work your exercises for next week's class, and send me your peers in the WhatsApp group. I'll record it there, and
Send what in the WhatsApp group, sir?
The person you are working with for this exercise. You're working in pairs for the exercise.
All right, save.
So all of this is for next week. Bear in mind, there will come a time that you have to present these exercises. So all of you need to practice it. I will call upon you randomly to show me one of the exercises. One group will show me an exercise. So when that time comes, ensure you're prepared to present that. So
Wait, sir, so the exercises are due next week?
they are due next week, but the presentation will come at any time.
Oh, all right.
So this has brought us to the end of today's class. If you don't have any questions, you're free to have your lunch.
So opening the notes.
You
But it
want,
must pass through by.
you want 200?
Must? I
Yes,
did
sir.
it,
Link,
sir.
link.
Sir,
Yeah.
669-1559, right? 200.
MMG?
Anything. No, credit.
Sorry, me too.
You know, hey,
Hey, hey, hey, babe.
behave yourself. You know how this is
Behave.
credit, right, sir?
Only got one 200.
All right, wait.
No, sir. I was the first applicant.
Well,
699.
Let's play rapid between.
Oh, I can see. Alright, the two year call I get
You
first,
not.
I can call her.
all right, ready? Rock, paper, scissors, rock.
What you get?
I get
You
paper.
rock? I get scissors.
Who win, man?
I win.
Paper win?
Scissors win, sir.
Sir, please check the group chat there.
Anybody want
Hey,
me
let's
after this?
I'm gonna sleep by.